Yo, what's cracking, folks? Welcome to episode number 6 of the Painter and the Pixie. I am Jeremy Vassar, and as always, I am joined by my lovely wife, Serena.
Hello, everybody.
And in this episode of the podcast, it's more of a relaxed episode, I would say.
We do cover some pretty nice topics, though.
That's true.
Talk about our conclusions that we've made after our January challenge.
Correct.
So, like, how are we going to launch forward through the rest of February and the rest of 2018?
Yeah, as we kind of lightened up our restrictions in February and having just some insights from that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we got into all kinds of stuff.
Some stories you guys might enjoy. Talked about some meal planning tips.
Some production stuff I did over the weekend. Yeah. And I think y'all will enjoy.
Pretty fun episode.
So without further ado, please enjoy episode number 6 of The Painter and the Pixie.
This is only the beginning.
All right, ready?
Ready?
What you're going to hear about today is nothing short of a miracle.
Well, I don't believe it.
Let's find out. Ready, set, go.
Yo, what's up, girl? How you doing?
Hello. Not good morning.
Definitely
good
not.
Evening.
Yeah, this is our first evening podcast.
It is.
So
it is for this show.
Yes, I've had some late ones before. Mm-hmm. I think the latest one I did was with Curtis, and I painted at his house all day, and then I think we did the podcast from it was midnight to 1 something.
That's not good.
Which it was an okay podcast, but man, it was rough on pulling facts and things.
Yeah, that's late. I don't do as well in the evening. I'm more sharp and pleasant in the morning. Not that I'm less pleasant in the evening. I just get slower.
No, you're just winding down. Yeah, and we're not too late. It's what is it, 6 o'clock now? Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
6:26.
Yeah. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But usually we like it on the upswing of the caffeination.
Right. That's always super nice, drinking our coffee. So today, what are we drinking? We're drinking...
This is, you made this, Pellegrino and lime?
Yeah, Pellegrino and lime. That's all it is. Little glasses, little glass straw.
Not what we were drinking last night. Mm-mm. Hence for the late start, folks.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. That was part of the issue this morning.
Problem. I would just say result, really.
Yeah, that's true. But, a little too much indulgence, maybe.
So for those that may not have listened to prior episodes, Serena and I did a January challenge where we did no booze, no sugar, and basically no junk food.
Yeah.
And then we had some exercise components of it with yoga and so forth. And I guess fortunately / unfortunately, we had some pretty definitive results.
Yeah.
It
was great.
It was great.
We did great.
We both lost 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Started looking really good.
Yep.
Feeling good. And then, for me, my brain felt great as far as it's also a blood sugar thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Where sometimes if I'm obviously not doing as well with the diet and so forth, and then if there's alcohol, particularly just having a few beers during the week or whatever, I found that I would have I'd have to take a nap a lot of times.
That's true.
In between getting home from work.
Nap taker. You were a big nap.
And going out to train. But I used to do it where I just do a sub 10-minute power nap. That was a good turnaround. But I noticed during January, particularly the later weeks, I was fine. It's just
the first week or so was rough, but then the rest of the weeks we did pretty well. And it was kind of nice to you didn't have to take any naps, had good energy, mental clarity. So the last little bit here, we've been having a little bit more freedom and kind of eating more things, and had a really fun family dinner on Friday.
We did.
Your aunt was visiting.
Yep.
And had pulled pork sandwiches and potato chips and, some really lovely soup that your mom made.
It was a delicious meal. And I think we both had talked about, if we notice things going off the rails as we kind of remove some of our guidelines, if you will, for the January challenge.
We finished the restrictive phase and we just went back into relatively normal eating.
Yeah. And then we're kind of seeing whether or not that's going to be a thing that will be conducive to us accomplishing our goals. So upon further review, we're like, how you doing over there with your
Good. Sorry,
microphone?
I just thought I felt like I was going to hit it when I was talking, so I want to move it down a little bit.
Gotcha.
But I want to make sure you could still hear me.
No worries. You're good. I can hear you good.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, what is it? What's today's date?
11th.
The 11th. So I think we're both, I've already put back on like 3 pounds.
Yeah.
And it is not muscle. So,
No.
and it's probably just, I had like basically 2, maybe 3 cheat meals for February. Indulgences. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Right. So, and now we had a discussion this morning, which probably would have made for a good podcast.
It would have, but we were not recording at the time. So we're going to kind of recap now. But
yeah.
So after our indulgences and these things being less strict because we finished our challenge.
Yep.
You took a couple naps already, right? It's the 11th. You had what, 2 or 3 naps already?
I would say I'm up to like 3 naps.
3 naps. Yeah, the back of the picture. And a little bit more of the, we'll say, slow starting in the morning.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. And yeah, it doesn't take much to throw I think also because we ate so clean.
Yeah.
And didn't drink it all in January. Like, I'm definitely feeling you mentioned that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you drink kind of consistently, you don't feel it as much.
Mm-hmm. If you drink or eat sugar consistently,
Right.
you're not going to feel the effects of those things as much. But then when you do like we did, we took it out for 4 whole weeks. You put a little bit back in, and it's going to be like, whoa, this is way more intense than I remember.
Yeah. So we had some good reflections, I thought, this morning as we were chatting through things, because we've been together for, it's been a minute. So I think we're on, what are we, 5 years together, something like that?
Yeah, I think we're getting into year 6.
6, right?
Yeah.
So
I think we're in year 6.
And as we progress as a couple in our marriage and so forth, I think we're getting on more and more of the same page and kind of lining up our kind of our vision for the future together, which is, I think, super important and also very exciting when we're both lined up with kind of where we see us as a family unit proceeding. And then I've said this, I don't know if I've said it or during the Painter and the Pixie, but I've definitely cited this example before. But you're probably sick of hearing this, but I read a book called The Seveneves, and it's an okay book. I think it's by Stephenson, but anyway, he was super into physics, and particularly like orbital mechanics and orbital physics for like space travel and so forth, and that's kind of what the book is set in, sci-fi. And he was talking about how like the physics of a space shuttle or any large body that's in orbit, and usually you're in some sort of like an ellipse orbit, so it's like an oval, and then how hard it is to break that orbit,
right? To get out of it and change the direction
and get in like a new orbit. How they have to do it with space shuttles is they have to do bursts of speed all along the loop, and then it's usually at the end of one of the straightaways is where they break that orbit. There's usually
kind of like an extra burst, and they blast right through.
Yeah, as soon as they come around, they burn, and then they hit that straightaway, and then they hit the jets super hard. And sometimes these orbits take, they can take years to get around once, so they have to do these control burns all the way around, so that they can exit, or it can be months or several days or weeks or whatever. So it's a lot of kind of calculations and math going into these things. And I was thinking about how much I feel like that translates to our lives and how we're progressing. And I think there's a lot of human existence that operates with velocity and momentum. Yeah. So it's, you get into an orbit and sometimes you just fall into one. Right. And then if you're not conscious about it, it's super hard to break that orbit, because you've got a lot of times you have a gravitational pull that's keeping you there, and you don't have enough exit velocity to get out. So you and I have kind of found a comfortable orbit in our current setup. And I think for us to move forward, change is pretty hard. Like when you're trying to make a dynamic change with like career or anything you're doing, like whether it's, reformulating habits or being healthy or eating well, whatever it is, exercise, it takes a lot. Like it's no joke to like start new habits, and particularly if you're fighting against bad ones as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So, I've just been thinking about that with us and, with me, where the small burns that I see through our year, because it's easy for me to track a year just because I was more used to it because of school, where you were homeschooled, so you had a little more nebulous in your tracking. But
there.
I see the small burns through the year are like all the extra things you get to during the week.
Right. Okay.
And then when you see an opportunity, that's the huge burn where you turn the jets on and try and break. But like there are some key elements, at least for that we've kind of fleshed it out this morning, where alcohol, it does nothing but produce drag.
Right. It's not helping you with any of those bursts of momentum.
Well, it's not that it's not helping, it's actively hindering those bursts.
Right. So it's not even, it's not neutral.
So, and we didn't even go crazy last night. I had a couple beers last night as we were watching some films, which I still like sitting down and having like 3 movies to watch, because I did a lot of production work yesterday, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But like, it's fun to like sit down and have those movies. Yeah, you really enjoy that. Love it. But, and then when I'm done though, like this morning, we did not get up. We both felt like
we both had a couple of beverages.
Oh, and Gus, our little Lagotto dog, who's a champ, he was having a rough morning.
Yeah,
so I got up with him.
A rough morning.
And like, you never wake up or know what's going on with him, which I still think's hilarious.
No, so you have raised puppies. I've never had puppies, and it's just like I still try to figure out the sounds, and most of the times I know what they are, but it takes me a little bit longer to realize. Okay, do something about it.
Yeah, and meanwhile,
he was clicking on the cage.
Yeah, I'm scrambling. Yeah,
and you're already out of bed, but by the time I realize,
I'm out of bed and opening up his crate.
Yeah, by the time I realize what I'm hearing,
dude, I had 2 puppies in my room when I was raising Drake and Boone, and I got to the point where I was so alert and tuned in that it would take one of them to go, like, and anyone that's had puppies knows that's the precursor to throwing up.
Yeah.
And what I would do is
that was an uncanny representation.
It's I've heard it a lot. Exactly what it
sounds like. Okay, you don't have to keep doing it.
But what I would do is I would open the door, because I had a door from my bedroom into the bathroom, which had tile floor, and most of the time I would just
drop them in there.
I would just put their face in there, and then they would like just rolf onto the tile, and
which is easier to clean.
Much easier to clean up.
So Gus was having some fussing sounds this morning.
Yes.
He didn't throw up. He was just having a little bit of loose stool issues.
He was having some problems, yeah. So, and it was like pouring rain.
I know.
So
it's like between 6:30 and 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, let him out 5 times.
Yeah, I'm like, I will just stay up and watch him. So, but anyway, so we kind of a later start.
A little bit of a later start to the morning.
But like, you can have one indulgent meal, and then it could kind of like set off the rest of your weekend, where today has been a little bit of a, it's we did clean the house, and we cleaned a lot yesterday, so we have gotten a lot done, so I don't want to besmirch us too much, but we want,
but the energy was a little different, a little more subdued,
a little bit, and we watched the Blue Planet stuff.
That's
crazy.
So fun to watch.
I'm hoping Netflix gets the Blue Planet 2, because that's going to be out soon as well.
Yeah, I know. We're going to finish Blue Planet 1 soon, and then I want to watch the second one.
Yeah, some crazy stuff in that ocean.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's what we were just watching before we started.
That's why it's being mentioned currently.
Yeah. So what we happened to come to this morning was like, okay, we want to make some conclusions and some assessments about so we had a great January. It was really, really nice. That was one of our most productive months we've had in a long time.
Agreed.
Because we were so focused. We didn't have any of the, I'm gonna use this as a little bit of a controversial word, temptation of foods and alcohol and these things that would be normally kind of like tantalizing to take away some of your weekend and your work and productivity.
Right.
So we had a lot more focus. And then here it's the 11th of February, and I feel like we haven't been drinking like crazy. We haven't been eating junk like crazy, not a lot. But the momentum was going really, really well. And then it's just like a very stark slowdown.
Yeah.
We're back to a crawl. So it's like, I wonder what the contributing factors might be. I can think of 2 off the top of my head.
Incredibly clear.
Yeah.
So, and we have done enough research to know where kind of we stand. And Jordan Peterson always says this. He's like, if someone tells you to like shape up and get your shit together, you can you generally know what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I think for us, you even mentioned this when we were doing the January challenge. You were like, I kind of want to keep going with this in February.
Yep.
And I think we are circling and or have landed on is
I've
that
landed, man. I have solidly landed.
Well, and I should say as well, because I think I said the same thing or something similar in January where I was saying I want to set some goals where if it doesn't look like I'm getting to them, then really I would like to like switch back to what we were doing, because we knew we're doing pretty well in January. So I think sadly, or I think to me it's kind of exciting because I know it's going to change.
Sad. I think it's just different than what we have been used to.
I think for 2018, because we want 2018 to be a really good year, and we have some big changes in mind for 2019 as far as like getting our house and some more animals like this little turd.
I know.
Sorry, for those not watching on the YouTubes, we have Gus has just been, he's milling around currently, so hopefully not getting into too much trouble. Yeah. So we're going to do basically no booze for 2018.
Yep.
So that's kind of the big...
And no sugar.
And no sugar. Now, so for before I commit totally to no sugar, because I'm down with like, we're not counting fruit though, right?
Correct.
So like fruit and... things of that nature, okay? Now, are you counting honey and maple syrup in the no sugar?
So for January, we did no honey, no maple syrup.
We're very strict, yeah.
We're very strict. We did a little bit of stevia in January. So the honey maple syrup, I feel like I could go either way on. I'm not exactly... and that's really truly because I can't even tell you, I don't do it regularly. I don't even eat either of those things even once a month.
Yeah.
So rare for me to eat those things. And that's where I'm like, okay, well, if there's some reason where I would want to use that for something, then maybe that would be okay. And you do maple syrup a little bit if you do iced coffee.
Yeah, it's so good.
But then I say, well, if it's so rare anyway, try it with the stevia, see how you do.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I say no refined sugar.
Yeah.
Like no white sugar, no brown sugar. None of
I'm down with that for
stuff.
sure. 100%.
And I probably would also do no maple syrup and no honey, probably just because it's so rare for me in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it's so rare that I'm like, I don't know if I have to be restrictive about it.
Right. And you're not like shoveling honey into your face.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll agree to the refined sugar.
Okay. And we'll think about the honey maple syrup thing.
Yeah. If it becomes an issue, I'll just restate it on the next podcast. Be like, no honey, no sugar.
Yeah.
Because Jeremy's just covered in maple syrup. So yeah, and I think because to me, I've been getting to, in January, I got to all of my extra stuff, which is great. So
you didn't miss anything.
And if anyone's been following the Facebook posts or the Instagram posts, like I've been having a lot of fun making those pictures. And I learned how to, from Peter McKinnon video, who's a photographer I follow on YouTube, how to float that paintbrush.
Yeah,
so
make it.
That was cool.
Magic.
And I've got some ideas for some more photos. So I think periodically I want to do some kind of special effects, which will be
so much fun.
And that's really, because to me, if you take away the stigma or any of the societal kind of views on alcohol or sugar or whatever it is, and you just kind of like pretended you were an alien that came down and then were studying yourself.
Okay.
And said like, okay, like what is this thing that they do? And then look at like its effect.
Okay.
Without any kind of moral stigma attached. And it's kind of like, it's like, well, they seem to enjoy it. They sit still a lot after they, you know what I mean? Like, so you just kind of see what you end up doing from it. It's because I'm like, if I was an alien and came down and studied me like I was some chimp, like what conclusions would I make? You know, and that's how I kind of, it gives me a little bit more of like an open feel with it instead of having like, oh, I need to hold on to this or have some sort of, I don't know.
It sounds like you're saying, I want to put myself into the observer role and see what effect this is having on myself and whether or not I think that's worth it. And kind of the conclusion that I think we've come to is what we see whenever we indulge with sugar or alcohol, any of those two things, or the things that are associated with that, because sometimes if you're drinking, you're like, oh, I'll eat more French fries or whatever.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Your inhibitions are down, so you're like, who
You're
wants
just gonna
potato
do whatever,
chips? Yeah.
Right? You're more likely to indulge in other areas as well. So you're like, you see the progression, and is the progression towards your goals, neutral, or away from your goals? And almost always it's away from your goals.
Yeah, and
almost always.
And usually I didn't have goals. Now that I have goals.
Yeah. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Helpful little measuring rod there.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think also too, looking at it, it's like, okay, this generates a brain state. Mm-hmm. Do I enjoy that brain state? And for me, I'd always like, if I found something that I liked, I would just keep doing it a bunch. And then I get sick of it, and then I move on. And then that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm like, I'm actually kind of tired of the brain state produced,
Right.
during and after. So that's kind of where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. It doesn't have, the allure has kind of worn off, as it were.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Makes it easier.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of like quote unquote like party fun when I was young. Like I didn't do any of that in college or anything. I was just working and fight training. So I kind of had my stupid college days when I married you. So
yeah, a little bit later,
which is probably safer. We were talking about that earlier,
a very cushioned, safe zone. You're not really going to get into so much trouble.
Very nerfed setting. So it's like, oh, how dare you? You watched 3 movies in a row, you crazy party animal. You. So, but yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited, and
I'm
I think
excited too,
because I have some physical goal. Like I really want to train and get my purple belt this year, and then also just doing all this production work. We're trying to do something with this podcast, and we're not. You were talking about this morning, like trying. Like no, we're doing it. We're doing. I've committed to this. That's why we built the back end, and we have all this stuff, and we've got everything on YouTube. We're working on different affiliate links right now, which will be super fun. Hopefully we'll have a cool announcement for you guys next week. So
I think I was reading a book, and they were talking about commitment from your counterpart, from the person that you're conversing with, and it's a book.
Is that Never Split the Difference?
Never Split the Difference.
Chris
Voss. Yeah, it's about negotiation. It's a very interesting book, but they talk about how to kind of like, I'm going to say, get buy-in from your counterpart, like your person you're talking to.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to win a negotiation or conversation or a team action plan, something, and the person says, I'll try, they're not committed.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you say, I try, then that's, you put in the back of your head, I've given myself space and permission and room to fail.
Right.
And if you say, I'm going to do my very best, that's a completely different response than I'll try.
Yeah.
So that's where when I listened to that, I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, where am I just trying in my life?
Yep.
And some of it, I mean, I have not probably had as much junk food ever as I have since I've been married to you, because there's some of that is like, you want to have sociability, you want to be like, kind to your mother-in-law and your sister-in-law, and like eat the things that they've made and shared with you and that matters to them. Whereas before I was very like, nope, not eating that. Nope, whatever. No, that's not going to make me feel good. I don't care.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, it's kind of one foot in, one foot out. That's one of the examples that Chris Voss gives in this book is about splitting the difference, compromising. And I know I've talked to you about this already, but I don't know if you got to this part of the book yet, but there's a husband and a wife, and they're arguing about it. The husband wants to wear brown shoes with his suit.
Yeah.
And the wife wants him to wear black shoes with his suit. And they're arguing about it, and they say, fine, we'll split the difference. We'll compromise. He wears one black shoe and one brown shoe. Like, nobody wins.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, I think the point of that chapter was no deal is better than a bad deal.
No deal is better than a bad deal.
And that's like a new concept for a lot of folks. So.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, you know what? I don't have to be one brown shoe, one black shoe. I can say, thank you very much. I super appreciate the work and the effort and the thought that you had to get this ice cream for me.
Yeah.
But no, thank you. I have another priority for myself that I value more than eating this thing. But then you can still have thanks and care and value of the person.
Right.
Without having to eat the junk food.
Right. And I think we're well established enough as a couple and a part of the family where no one's going to be super offended.
Of course.
So.
And plus, they already know I eat far less junk food than most of the other, I should say desserts.
Yeah. It's really dessert. So, which is our... the Vassar clan enjoys their dessert and after dinner treats and so forth. Yeah. So, but I'm in the same spot where that's why I think it's actually easier to talk about it on the podcast, because then you kind of...
We're open about it?
Yeah,
people know.
People already know. And...
you said something... I'm sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
You said something yesterday that I wanted to reiterate here. I thought it was great. It's a little bit different, but also very much the same what we're talking about. So you were talking about if someone was coming to a doctor and saying, I am just drunk all the time. I feel drunk. I just keep drinking alcohol and I'm drunk all the time. And then the doctor says, okay, well, just take this pill so you don't feel drunk anymore. And like, you keep drinking, right? That's what a lot of doctors do for some of these ailments that people have. Low energy, insomnia, digestive problems because people are eating crap, blood sugar problems.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about type 2 diabetes, and it's like, there's a direct correlation. Like they figured out why. It's sugar.
Yeah.
100% is sugar, and usually lack of exercise.
Because you can't metabolize.
And then, like what I said is like, it's like you coming to your doctor just saying like, dude, I'm hammered all the time. And then the doctor's like, oh, you drinking? He's like, oh yeah. It's like, well, instead of being like, hey, stop freaking drinking, you're saying like, take a pill to don't feel like you're.
Take a pill to cover up the symptom of it. No, and I don't want to do that for any of the areas in my life. It's like, where am I drinking?
Right.
And taking a pill, quote unquote.
I think it's very important to call yourself on your own BS and see where those blind spots are. And actually, being married, I've marriage is very hard, at least for me, to describe until like you're in it. It's one of those things that it's like
experience, maybe.
Particularly how the culture reflects it and kind of views it, and then being raised in the conservative Christian culture, it was not accurately represented.
Yeah.
So, but I'm enjoying it for different reasons. You and I have a unique relationship. I enjoy the shit out of you. So, but we're figuring out how to kind of navigate these waters, get on the same page, and then achieve our goals. Yeah. Because one of the things I was circling around to was, you have these things that you do, and they generate a brain state, whether it's playing a video game, watching a movie, having a beer, hanging out with friends. It's like, so these are all brain states that are being generated. And it's like, so if you just look at it from a chemical standpoint, like what is the state that is produced by this activity? And is that beneficial or harmful to me? From my perspective, like you can get other like buzzes or whatever from other, like you can simulate your brain a whole bunch of different ways.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
So, and it's like, some of it is like success is one, doing creative things like putting out photos and producing this podcast, actually like achieving goals. And there's something very satisfying about aiming at something and hitting it.
Yep.
That's like a really, really old, we are target-oriented creatures. That's actually one of the reasons we became like apex predators. Yeah. It's because we can throw things, and we have such high visual acuity that we can throw something super hard. And that started with rocks, and then we graduated to like spears and other like projectile weapons like atlatls and other things that are.
Forgot that even existed.
You know what an atlatl is though? Okay. Actually, there was a girl in my elementary school. I guess it was in middle school. She did her project science on atlatls.
Weird.
And she like made one, and it works.
Why don't you tell us what that is?
So an atlatl is an assisted spear thrower. So like, it's kind of like a long stick, and the spear sits in the stick, and it's kind of hinged on it, and then you whip it like almost like you would a baseball or something, and then as you crack down on this the stick end, like the handle that you're holding, the spear uncurls and then snaps out and flies. So it just
so I actually did not know what that was.
So yeah, so then your spear flies.
Not what I was imagining.
Yeah, the spear flies way farther than it would if you just threw it like a javelin.
Okay.
So yeah, fun fact.
Yeah, there we go. Our random fact for the podcast.
So yeah, that's what the hell was I talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about humans and throwing things and being visually cute.
Yeah, target oriented. So
target oriented.
But that's like why there's other things that like archery is super appealing, because you're target, and it all comes back to our innate ability to be hunters, and that's why for a variety of reasons, like why our vision is very accurate, and there's a lot of color involved, and it's pretty cool. The fact that you can and I played baseball for a long time and I was a pitcher, and you can throw a ball super hard, or I could at least. So, but it's like you can train yourself to do that. Yeah. And then, so you get a huge reward hit if you aim at something and hit it. And that's really what goals are too.
The goals.
A goal is saying like, I want to hit this thing. And then you're going to use the obstacles and tools that are in front of you to try and achieve that goal. And then the term sin is actually an archery term, which is how far from the mark that you missed. And it should be more of that sin is a loaded term, particularly coming from the Christian conservative world. It has a lot of like shame and guilt, where it should be more of a,
how do I make a new adjustment?
How do I adjust? Yeah. Because you want to see how far off the mark am I? And, am I making the optimal sacrifices to promote the best possible future? And if you're not making the correct sacrifices, you need to adjust. So, and then for us, with our goals for 2019, like we want to get a farm, we want to get animals, we want to do all these things. And it's like, okay, well, one of the sacrifices we should probably make is like pretty clearly no booze.
Yeah, booze, no sugar.
No booze, no sugar.
Because those two things get in the way, as we have found.
A smidge.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me how you don't have to do a lot of either of those things for them to get in the way. That's what, because I don't eat that much sugar and junk,
right,
I don't drink that much.
Yeah.
But you're like, just a little bit consistently can really throw your system for a loop. It really, really can. It does not have to be a lot. Yeah. That's really, sometimes it's hard with people that I know, friends, or even some clients, where it's like, okay, well, this far, but not these things.
Yeah.
But if you could clear the slate completely and see what that feels like, it's so different than if you leave those little lingering bits there.
Yeah.
Go 100% for a little while. See how you do.
Yeah. And I don't want to also, I think it's important to acknowledge, like, I do not want it to sound like we're on some high horse of nutritional superiority or whatever. Yeah. It's more of, because I know plenty of folks that don't have a problem with it, and they're achieving their goals and doing all these things. And for me, it's like, I want to get to the things that I want to get to. And also, one of the things that I was thinking about is I was a little fat kid growing up. And so I started getting more into the physical side of things. But I was a huge nerd. Like, I smoked, like, I just destroyed school. Like, I was straight A's, nerdy, computer guy, all that stuff. Smoked school.
Just wanted to clarify.
Nothing else. And like transitioning out from high school into college, transferred out of the first school that I went to, and then ended up going to Temple, and that's where I started fight training, and then doing a lot of like lifting and strength and conditioning, and then I got into CrossFit and so forth. So like I pushed my body really hard, so I had a lot of physical resilience. I actually like developed a little bit too much, because then I would push my body into like too much into failure, and then that would result in injuries. So like where I want to get to is actually have the same level of mental resilience that I have physically, which is like kind of getting that balance down. So
yeah, and for us, that's like you said, I don't want to feel like we're trying to be big superior or whatever. But for us, this is the two things that we found are a really big deal for us, and that's where we're going to start saying, okay, for the goals that we've got in mind, because like you said, you can still drink, you can still have some sugar here and there. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the end of the world. There's no judgment. There's no shame. It's just for us, for what we're trying to do, we got to give ourselves a little bit more breathing room, and that's one of the easiest ways that we can see currently to give ourselves that breathing room.
Because some of it's a time issue, just getting to all of the things. Time. It's like, okay, I kind of am running out of time to drink and recover from that. Like, I kind of need to. It really slows down the transitions. I think and I think what we're saying is 2018. Let's just see how it goes.
Right.
Like, just see how it goes. Yeah. See how it goes. Then we'll reassess from there. And I'm excited to see what's going on. So.
I like the idea. We said this back a couple of episodes ago, but I like the idea of checking in each month and saying, okay, how are we doing with this? How do we want to tweak it? How do we want to make it better? How do we want to make it better?
Right.
Keep going for progress, not perfection.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So, speaking of progress and doing some fun things, you want to tell me a little bit about your day yesterday?
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks. So I'm doing some working on a new project, I guess, a side hustle.
Yeah.
If anyone knows, that's what Josh and I tend to do if left to our own devices. And this one I'm actually really pumped about because I think it's the first step in creating a production company, which is something I'm very interested in. And last year I did a podcast where I lugged around all of this gear and interviewed a lot of people. And that was very interesting. I got a lot of great conversations and I had a good time with it. And then Josh had been working on some other things, and then now we've kind of come back
Kinda
around.
Like split ways a little bit, and they're coming back together.
In our extracurricular activities. Right. So now that we're
in the side hustles.
So now Josh did a lot of research, and through knowing Jeremiah Rizzo, who was on my podcast last year, he told us about this site called Teachable, where you can host different courses and things. And so Josh and I are working on filming and making a course. This isn't the title yet, but it's basically something like Contracting 101.
Okay.
Where we're walking people through, say you are in the trades like plumber, carpenter, electrician, painter, and you are working under somebody, or you are like a weekend warrior, maybe you have some side jobs going on, or you've already started and you want to, really dial in your business and do it full time and really kind of get it to the next for the next level, if you will. But it's kind of leveraging the I guess we're up to like 13 or 14 years of being in business ourselves and building up our business to a pretty respectable level, and then kind of giving our knowledge out at so that other people can benefit from all the dumb stuff we did.
Yeah. So like almost like a how-to guide, but like with also great tips of like, well, don't do this and don't do that. And like you're kind of giving them a perspective of your trial and error. And here's a packaged little product that you can use to get your business going pretty effectively.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, you can trim out a lot of headaches just by avoiding certain things that we did incorrectly when we started. And it's a lot of kind of some things that we think are basic. It's interesting to put together a tutorial series because you don't want to seem patronizing,
right,
but you also want to make sure you're covering all the bases.
Yeah.
So you want to on-ramp people effectively. So like client interaction, we talked a little bit last week about how to interact with dogs.
Yes.
And one of the things, I think I already said that last week, of like, is this an indoor cat or an outdoor cat?
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're not letting people's pets out.
Yeah, which these seem like really simple things, but like I even said last week, I would not have even thought of asking that, obviously, until I let someone's inside cat out by accident.
Which I have done, and it's hard to catch cats, man. Yeah. It's hard. And
from your experience, now you can tell other people, hey, make sure you ask whether it's an indoor and outdoor. But that's a great example.
Yep. So that's it's probably going to be about 25 or 30 videos.
That's a lot of videos.
And these videos are like 3 to 10 minutes in length.
Okay, so they're little chunks.
Yeah. They're more kind of YouTube style, and that's very typical of
more engaging.
Yeah. So, and I'm working with my cousin to see what edits we can do. So we filmed about 5 videos yesterday.
That's awesome.
On 2 different sets that I made out in the den. So my den's completely destroyed right now between the den and then the garage studio.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, you were recording. I mean, I was working most of the day yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, what's going on here? That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I would be so nervous if I was charging someone to produce, man, it's like, I'm like, I would definitely need some more reps of this. But I mean, all the stuff that I did last year and then even this year with like working in the studio and doing the photography and different stuff, it's like, I always find it fascinating that I don't realize how much stuff I know until you do something. You're like, hey, I actually know some stuff.
Yeah.
Look at that. All right. Like diffusing light, making sure things are, where they should be. And, I had so people, again, can't see any of this. Even if you're watching on YouTube, you can't see it. But I have diffusion umbrellas on our stage lighting here. And I have diffusion material that I draped over this big light. There's an LED panel here that I had draped it over and then kind of clamped it to the stand. But then I didn't realize it was interfering with how the light was venting, and LEDs create a decent amount of light. So actually the light was overheating and it would just start to dim down.
LEDs create a bunch of heat?
Yes.
Well, you said light.
Yeah. Well, the LED light is that panel generates quite a bit of heat.
Yes,
so then it would start to like fade. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Because it's trying to cool down?
It was protecting itself. So then I had to unbundle it and figure out a better way to do it. I'm like, that's a fair point. I would see how that would be a thing.
Yeah. Oh,
and there's vents like all the way around the light. So it makes sense.
And the umbrellas are open on the back.
Yep. So nothing will overheat now.
Yeah.
But
see other things I would never have even thought of.
But it was really funny because I've had a lot of reps of doing, you even have the production things like when you had to do an outro or something, it takes you like, man, this is, and you've had stage experience.
Yeah, I guess I would have thought of that stuff. I did.
Josh was on camera doing stuff, and he's just like, dude, this is hard. I'm like, I know, man. So we were writing up cue cards, and I was holding it below the camera, but you got to make sure you look in the lens.
Yeah, that's great. Was that his first experience on camera?
Yeah, I mean, he did a couple podcasts with me last year.
But those on camera.
But they were not recorded on camera, so I think it was the first. In what we were doing, he was the only one, you know. And
it's different when there's a visual component.
Very different.
If you're just doing audio recording, it's very different because, especially for you and Josh, you talk so frequently.
Yeah.
That it's just talking. But then when you have to look good and make eye contact with the screen, the camera, and like all these things, it's totally different.
Yeah, my favorite, we did a couple videos where we were in the, in front of the white screen, which actually made it a gray screen, which you just do when you only light a little bit of it. So it's not, you don't overexpose the background.
Okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was fun because we were just sitting on stools and talking to each other and then kind of ripping on each other like while the video is going on. So I think I would like to see more of that come through because I think that will make the series more compelling. And
more fun. I keep coming back to the word engaging. When you've described to me what kind of the feel you're going for, that's what's missing. A lot of these educational materials and videos that I've seen, and I've seen quite a number of variety of things. It's not very engaging. It's just someone talking and looking and talking or blinking a whole bunch too much.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Oh, I remember that one. That one dude blinked a lot. Yeah.
So, there's a production value that needs to be there, and a little bit of theater experience helps.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I don't have any theater experience, but just even doing the podcast and stuff, I'm much more comfortable talking and. Even if you mess up, you can kind of just keep going. Yeah. But I will say what I 100% will be getting on Amazon at some point this week is one of those clappers.
Oh, that's so fun.
Or it's a slate board, I think that's what it's called.
You clap.
Yeah, so it's like, and
scene one, take one.
And then
scene one, take two. Scene one, take 35.
Here's why that's important for anyone that hasn't done something like this. So it was the first time I used my shotgun capsule mic that goes on. So right now we're recording on a Zoom H6, which is a super nice digital recorder. And Serena and I are recording on just regular condenser microphones, which we have XLR cables that go right in there. I have a capsule mic, which is like, if anyone knows what like a boom mic looks like, the dude that's holding the pole and has like the big furry thing on there, that's usually a boom mic. So I have one of those that attaches to this thing, so the audio is separate from the video. And then we were also doing screen capture on the computer because some of it is showing people where to go for certain things for like to find.
How do you set up an email address?
How to do a Gmail account, how to find a bank online, and Josh had like some basic accounting things. He was showing people how to do like a spreadsheet.
Wow.
So you've got hit record on the camera. You've got the video, then you hit record on the audio, and then you hit record on the screen capture. Yeah. And all of those need to be synced together.
Oh, yeah, that's difficult.
So, and that's why you verbalize, like...
action.
Like act 1, scene 2, take 3, or whatever. Yeah. And then on the clapper has the... the one I'm going to get is like a dry erase one, so you can write the scene and all of that, so you know...
Right.
Visually where to sync it up. And then also the clap sound is it gives you an audio spike on every device. So most guys that edit will line all the audio up based off that initial clap.
Yeah, so then it's all synced.
Correct.
That's nice.
So that is why. But now as I've recorded everything
5 videos,
I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to go back and like I think I'm gonna have to start at the last video and like work myself back just to get the audio correct. So it's gonna be a
little bit more work.
It's gonna be a little bit more work. So but that's all part of the workflow that I just hadn't thought through, because audio is super easy. Super easy. So I'm pretty good with this. Like the H6 is just, I've got a really smooth workflow with doing podcast episodes.
Well, and that's, you didn't at first, and now, and it got smoother and smoother. It's going to be the same thing. Yeah. So it's super exciting. I'm really excited because I've got some things that I would love to have you help me produce down the road here. And that's like, I love that you're getting some reps in under your belt.
Yeah,
and
man.
That kind of like gets the kinks out.
Well, that was kind of the plan, is that we develop something like this from knowledge that Josh and I have, and we can iron out the kinks, and then see, because the big piece of it is not only, obviously I'm in charge of like the production,
right?
So which is all the stuff I've acquired. I've got all the gear, the cameras, the lighting, all this stuff. Turns out I have a lot of shit, by the way.
Yes, so, I did know that actually. It's not surprising to me.
And it's really nice.
Yeah,
so
also
good job.
Not surprising to me.
Good job past me. I didn't, but yeah, there's a huge marketing component to it, because we've got to cultivate an email list, and you've got to make sure that the course gets out to the people that would benefit from it. So, and it's not going to happen organically at the rate it would need to be successful, just because we're not an established like quote unquote brand or whatever either. So, but Teachable's pretty cool. And I think it's a sweet platform, because the course is already monetized, and I think the average course on there costs like $187.
Oh, interesting.
So, and it's YouTube is an interesting platform as well, which is what our show is on, which it's great because it doesn't cost you anything to host any of those videos, but also if you want to monetize it, you've got to be real serious about putting out a lot of content consistently. It's not impossible, but a lot of the guys that I watched were talking about how there's no middle class on YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
It's all like the people making the money are in like the top kind of 1%.
Wow.
So, but and there's a lot of caveats, and that's not quite a nuanced approach to it, but that's kind of and they just recently, YouTube changed their ad rules, and they very much cater to the advertisers, where if you make a teachable course and then you market it effectively, you're getting your course out to people that would find value in it. Yeah. And it's not just like, it's just a clear chain of monetization. So that's,
and it seems a little bit more simple because it's just you and the platform. There's not like a middleman, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be, we're going to figure that out with Josh and I on this first course. And then my kind of goal is that if it becomes economically feasible, and then we kind of know our production budget and how long it takes us to do this, then the next course I want to do is probably with you.
Yeah.
And then the next one, I have a few other people in mind that I would want to produce. It's just whether or not making the email list, like how, I have no idea, because
getting that part of it down, it's just such an unknown right now.
Yeah, well, Josh is going deep into that,
good
so
for him.
that's kind
great.
of that's his part of things, is going to be more of the marketing piece and making it viable. So, and then I'm really focused on getting the highest production value possible and a really, really, really good product, because you can market something that sucks,
right,
and get some initial hits, but it's not a sustainable method. And I'm not going to put anything out there with me or my name on it if I think it blows. Yeah. So, and I think most things suck. So I figure
very high standard for you.
I feel like if I make something that I am happy with, then it should have some value. Yeah. So that was yesterday. So that was my first kind of experience doing a full shoot, and we shot for a while.
Long time.
It was like, it's pretty much a full day of production.
I left at like 9:30 in the morning to go to my office.
Yeah, we shot till probably about like 4:30.
Yeah, because I got home around 5.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's really fun. I'm very excited for you and Josh and getting all that stuff together, seeing what that finished product looks like. Because I was thinking about this as well while you were kind of describing the course. People want good material. They want good educational material. They want usable information. Like there's a girl who I follow, I'm not going to say her name, for recipes and stuff online, and she's prolific on YouTube, but listenable. It's like you just watch her and you listen. And I watch the videos because sort of watch them because you want the little nuggets, you want the little bits. But then there's just like all this rambling, and it's not sequential, and it's very difficult to follow. Now maybe that's a style on YouTube, and that's not my style. That's totally a possibility as well. I don't know. But it's like, if you have good material, package it well.
Right.
Make it totally user-friendly so that there's a very clear process, start to finish. By the time you get from point A to point Z, your customer, your client, or whoever's watching and learning, has a very clear steps they can take, and you know what their user experience has been.
Yeah.
That's like a quality control kind of a thing there. It's instead of being random and rambling and nonsense almost. Some of it is, there's so much nonsense in some of these online courses where you're like, if we can just tweak this and boil it down and shift it over just a little bit, you can make it so much more accessible to so many more people, and more, not even accessible, but desirable.
Right. So,
because it's great and it's effective.
And you really have to think back to when you started in whatever you're trying to teach. Mm-hmm. And there's a thing called the curse of knowledge, where it's hard to imagine when you didn't know the things that you know, and then you have to kind of put yourself in that space and be almost empathetic to your audience. And again, I find it walking a line of not being patronizing, but also giving them some of the simple things aren't as simple because you just might not have encountered it. Or like one of the things we talked about on the shoot yesterday was a lot of folks, when you start out a business, they want to incorporate right away. Yeah. And you don't actually need to do that. And Josh and I did a vending business where we did Vassar Brothers vending. And this was after we had already been in paint contracting for a couple of years. And our road with Handiworks was sketchy because we didn't know what we were doing starting out. And we had some tax issues and stuff early on because we didn't incorporate correctly. And then it took we have a super good lawyer that then worked things out, and we got things, but it ended up costing us a little bit more in taxes than we should have paid. And just, it was kind of a paperwork mess in the beginning. So then we started this vending business, which had zero revenue. Right. And we did everything by the book. We got incorporated through our lawyer. We did all this stuff, and then we made no money. And in fact, we just lost money. Lots and lots of money. And ended up with 800 pounds of Mike and Ike's and like 900 pounds of, what are the other ones? Hot tamales. Hot tamales. Oh, and then we had
peanut M&Ms, right?
We had like 2 pallets of chiclets.
Wow.
And we had to sell. We actually sold a lot of it back. That's good. I think on eBay.
That's nice.
Anyway.
But like, there's simple things. What you said, you kind of have to go back to when you didn't know as much. Yeah. And one of the other things that's so crucial, I think, which I think you were getting at this, and I'm totally interrupting you, boiling it down. Yeah. Because you don't. I've said this before, but I don't know if I said this on the podcast. I have a client who has accused me of having this fictitious disease called infobesity.
What? That's
too much information.
I don't know where she gets that notion from.
Know, right? But I love information, and if I were the client, if I were my client, I would want all the information.
Right.
So I kind of present that way. But you have to know your audience, and you have to be able to boil things down and present it in a little distilled packet that's effective, that is getting the point across, that they can hold in their hands and walk away with and remember. Yeah. And sometimes that's not all of the information. It's the most important information. And like you said, sometimes it's, quote, simple things that you don't really think about, like don't let the cat outside.
Right.
Don't prop the door open to bring your stuff in the house because the cat might get outside.
Yeah.
Seems simple, not trying to be condescending, but like you should pass that information along. It's useful.
Yeah. So for me, I think teaching is, I've heard a lot of guys talk about going from doing whatever they're doing to like teaching it. And I don't really, since we don't have employees anymore, I don't really teach anybody how to paint or anything. And cause I hated that piece of it. Cause I'm someone that it's something that I've thought a lot about. Like I want to get better at transferring information and teaching, which has not historically been a strength of mine, but I haven't really had a lot of opportunity I guess I did a little when I ran that ministry back in the day, doing Touchdown. But as far as actually teaching something that I know about, not just telling someone about a book I read or something,
that kind of counts.
That's why I'm interested in. Well, I've got some jiu-jitsu goals this year, and I may have an opportunity to do a little bit of instruction, which would be or like teaching some beginners and stuff. And that part of it actually interests me because I really enjoy jiu-jitsu. I think it's super important. But I haven't like taught, my brother would be an exceptional coach. He's really good because he's very like patient and systematic with how he does things. And I think I can get there with that because I really do like jiu-jitsu and understanding the technique of it and then being able to kind of transfer that over to, people just starting out. I think it would be cool, but I think it would also help with the educational stuff that I'm doing with the production stuff. So, and just breaking those concepts down and being able to, get it to stick. And you want actionable intelligence,
right?
Which even talking to you, we're getting better at doing this and moving through information. And, hopefully it's not just something like, here's all the things that I know all at once, which I would say I would have a infobesity probably issue as well.
A little bit. Drinking from a fire hose, a little bit. Sometimes.
Yeah. So,
because you can know a lot and you can have a lot of good stuff, but I think really good teachers know how to distill that and put it down into little pearls for you.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed, because I've had a bunch of different instructions from different coaches, different jiu-jitsu instructors, different Muay Thai instructors, and the really good ones know to just give you just the right amount of correction with not too much overcorrection, which we've seen that in yoga too.
Yep.
Someone that's correcting everyone all the time, like, it's like, dude, just get, like, we're not all going to get it perfect. So you just have to get one little thing, one little thing that's going to compound. That's one of Jordan Peterson's rules was compare yourself to yourself yesterday, not to who somebody else is today.
I like that.
So, and that's really, a kind way to treat yourself as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to be as yoked as the Rock, you can't be like, I'm never going to be that big. It's like, no, you got to just start somewhere and then move forward. So
I like that too.
But
yeah, I think another thing, I'm going back to this teaching thing real quick, that I think another thing that's useful is to know how to, I say this, play to your audience.
Yeah.
Not everybody learns the same way. Not everybody listens the same way.
Yep.
So you kind of have to tweak your information, your presentation of that information, so that more people can have access to it.
Yeah. Yeah. You want it to be absorbable. So it's almost like the CBD oil that we have from BioCBD Plus is emulsified. Yeah. So I was thinking of like emulsifying information, so it's actually your body can uptake it. So it's and that's
digesting it for you.
And that's the trick of it. When you know all the things, it's like, well, particularly there's a thing where some fighters don't make good coaches. Particularly the fighters that are really just a natural talent. They get shown a technique once and they got it. A lot of the guys that make the best coaches actually weren't that good of fighters, or they had to work really hard to get their skills. And because they had to work so hard, they really had to dissect each piece of it. And so they really know how to break it down, where someone who's a natural, like, freak athlete, it's harder for them to explain it, because they can kind of, they have like a physical acuity where their body just picks it up and they can just move like that. And I've seen dudes like incredible talents just come through, and they have a white belt and then all of a sudden they have a brown belt. You're like, what the hell? Like, how did that happen? They just zoom right through. But that's not everybody. Yeah. And it can even happen in school. I was always frustrated when people weren't learning as fast. If I was good at that game of remembering things. And then you got to be like, okay, well, if I didn't know this stuff, how do I break this down so more people? But that's why you layer the instruction as well. That's why there's going to be a visual component, as well as not everything on Teachable is video. You can do audio. You could do a podcast with it. You can do
handouts. You can attach PDFs.
We're going to do PDFs, and then I'm going to work with Drew,
like worksheet things.
My cousin editor Drew, to do like graphics that'll be next to us on some of the white screen stuff. So we'll have
in the video.
In the video.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And then there'll be like slides and stuff with that. So it'll be, you want to make sure everything is covered. A lot
of components there.
But I also think it might end up tailing into some sort of consulting style thing, because I think even if you had someone went through the course, I think we're going to end up doing a beta. And then start getting some feedback and seeing where the questions are popping up, and see if we can make, a video to address some of that. Cause you're trying to like guess where the hangups are to make sure you cover it. So, which is a whole other thing. So, but anyway.
Yeah, all good things. I think it's some nice momentum we're moving along in here, taking away some of our roadblocks.
Yeah.
Keep moving forward. Compare yourself to yourself yesterday, not to somebody else today.
Yeah.
I like, and I said this before, but like progress, not perfection. I love that phrase. I heard it, I don't know when recently, and I was just like, yes, it's so cheesy and cliche, and one of those things you'd see on like little clouds in Instagram.
Well, I like the one that's done is better than perfect.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one too.
So that was, it's not his phrase, but Peter McKinnon said it in one of his videos.
Yeah,
particularly if you're doing like production work, because you can just get bogged down in the details and like the soundtrack's not perfect and this stuff and that's not right where I want. And it's like, dude, done's better than perfect. Get this thing done and out and move on to the next thing. So, but yeah, we'll see. And it's interesting because I think production is actually very similar to contracting. It's just a different kind of, because there's like prep you have to do, and
that's funny.
I feel like there's equipment involved and there's a layering process of getting a really nice finished product. It's not quite the same as painting, but there is like lighting, I feel like, is almost the prep of the room, and you want to make sure it's, right where it should be. And then it's getting the sound right. And then once you combine all those things, then you get a really sweet production. So, and then, it's figuring all that crap out. But it's fun because it keeps a lot of things going in my brain. And then I realize later I need a slate board to track this better. And like take some notes.
You got it. It's layers. You've got it. You just clap for now.
Because you got to do that thing.
I'll just draw on your hand, and then you and Josh can high five until you get your clackboard.
Then say it out loud so that the audio picks up, because the audio can't see the clapboard. Also important to realize. But anyway, anything else, sweetie?
Yeah, no, I think it was pretty good. This is pretty good. Fun little show.
So, and here's the big question: do I need to go to the grocery store tonight? Or can you wait till tomorrow?
I can wait till tomorrow.
Okay.
Do you have enough stuff for your smoothie? I have dinner ready for tomorrow. I've got all that stuff done. The only thing that we're waiting on is your
I can pull an
smoothie.
Audible and
I'm sure you have enough stuff to make a smoothie.
Yeah, I could probably do the Swiss chard and just more of the kale, but I'd have no spinach.
I know I used it yesterday.
But
sorry about that.
I think I have enough of the greens to make it through.
Yeah, I think you can. You've got a whole avocado.
Yeah, hopefully that one's not gross.
Up in the fridge.
How disappointing is that, folks? When you cut into an avocado and it's all brown, that's a big bag of bummer sauce.
It is. It is definitely.
So
I think we're good. I think it's getting pretty late. I don't like going to the grocery store this late in the winter because it's dark already and it's been dark for a while. But in the summer when it's light, I don't mind as much. But it's been raining all day long.
It's super gross out.
I just want to go back and finish drinking my Pellegrino and watch the rest of Blue Planet for right now, and then like prep all my paperwork for tomorrow for work.
That's true. I was thinking about because I finished Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
Yeah.
And we've kind of been talking about two of his rules particularly today. One is get your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. And so Serena and I are endeavoring to be better house cleaning agents and just keeping things smooth and having the house ordered. So we move from a place of order out into the world of chaos.
Right.
And
because we both have our areas that we're really good at keeping certain things awesome, clean. Kitchen, my domain.
Yep. Yeah.
Keep it clean. But then there's other areas like maybe laundry that don't necessarily keep up to par. So we just got to keep working at that. Attack those areas straight on instead of avoiding them and letting them linger and kill the monster when it's small.
When it's small, yeah. It's burn out the dead wood before the whole.
That was another Jordan Peterson one. That
down.
I think it was when he was on with Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. His first one with Joe Rogan, where he talks about kill the monster before it gets big.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's,
Yep.
See,
but it's harder, easier said than done.
I have never been diligent or consistent folding my laundry in my entire life. So
it's a brand new habit then.
When I first had to start doing my laundry, which I don't remember at what I would guess maybe like middle school or something. I had one of those like Papasan chairs. Papasan, is that how you say it? It's basically a massive bowl.
Like a basket.
It's like a wicker.
With a cushion in it.
With a cushion in it. And
on a stand.
And I had the footrest too. Mm-hmm. But what I would do is I would dump my laundry into the bowl. And then when I was playing video games, I would move it onto the bed. And then when it was time for bed, I would move it back into the bowl. And then I would just like basically pick through the bowl of clothes.
Jeremy.
And then that's kind of has just been, has maintained
And like your mom did your laundry when you were young, and I know for a fact she taught you how to do your own laundry.
Well, yeah, I know it's not that I know how to do it.
So I know that she's great.
I just
and then I
hate
hear
it.
the stories of like your mom wouldn't do it, so you get your grandma to do it.
I don't think that's
I
true.
remember you told me you'd get her to do
Oh
your
no
laundry.
no! No, it's. I think it was actually my grandfather.
Really?
Yeah, because
a grandparent, not you.
Because what you do is you just leave the basket down there, and like you're like, oh, they're doing laundry, so you leave it down there. But then if you wait long enough,
Oh my gosh.
they'll just like run it through, and then you're good. So
yeah, you got them to do it for
yeah,
you.
it was sweet.
Yeah, laundry has been a hang up.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I hate it because if you train a lot, as I do, go through so many clothes, and so I'm always washing stuff, and then just not. I just pick through it, and I have hampers that I pick through it, and then, it's not ideal. I'll work on it.
Yeah, it's progress, right? Keep making.
It's slightly more organized now that I've labeled our
your little bins.
our stuff.
Yep.
But
Yeah. But hey, that's why we're saying, okay, we're going to go and order our chaos in this house before we try to go and order the chaos in the world.
Yep. So start with, because that's a big Jordan Peterson quote too, is clean your room.
Yep.
So I think there's a bunch of memes of him saying that.
That's hysterical. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It's a big thing with him because he starts with clean. There's a famous general too that gave a commencement speech where he said, I think the name of the book is Make Your Bed. And that was like a big thing where you move out into the world from a place of order. And I think too, for my to-do list, I'm going to start titling it Chaos.
I love it. That's great. And then you cross it off and it becomes order.
Because again,
awesome.
Jordan Peterson talks about like you want to engage the chaos like head on, like you with your shoulders back and not just like kind of try and shy away. We were talking a little bit about procrastination earlier, and I read a book on it a little while ago, and they're saying like it's basically another way to create some stimulation because that's what I used to do in school to create a little bit of excitement. I would wait to the last possible minute to do something and then still pull off an A. That was like the challenge for myself. So like doing the homework for the class that was coming in the class before, or like, cramming for that, or like staying up super late and doing the paper. I did a full term paper on like global economics at Grove City. That was like the final grade for the class. And I think the paper was due at 2:30 and I started writing it at 8:00 in the morning that day. And it was a super long paper.
Wow.
Totally did well. So,
yeah, I'm sure it was great for your body's stress response.
But it makes it exciting.
Yeah, living off of those adrenal hormones,
It makes it matter. But that's what the guys was saying, like the longer you wait with procrastination, the more exciting it gets, even if it's something boring, because now you have a time constraint and it gets your brain focused.
It's almost like trying to get yourself engaged in the process.
Right, because it's a lot of schoolwork, super boring.
Yep.
So
I think that I like your chaos list for your to-do list. That's pretty nice.
But the point with the procrastination is I understand the mechanism behind it, and I also know that it's nice to have that gear of like being able to perform well under pressure, but it's also good to just be consistent and prepare and not have to like get your excitement somewhere else, not just from, I would rather be really consistently prepared than like trying to pull something out of my ass like in the last minute.
Yeah.
It's a nice skill to have, but still.
It is. It's nice to be able to scramble when you need to.
Yeah.
But like maybe not every day, and maybe not with laundry.
Yeah.
Let's just like put that away and see how that goes for the day.
Yep. So let's try to we'll get it all dialed in.
Yeah.
We're still smoothing off some of the rough edges and seeing what's up.
Yeah, hey, this is like, I mean, I remember even back when we were dating and you had your room and you had your big giant closet. It's like, because this is all habits. We talked about habits before, even our last episode, we talked about habits, food habits. But like, you would have this walk-in closet and just shove the laundry in the closet, shut the door.
It was so much better.
And then like, you don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. And I did not know the extent until it was too late.
Dude, Boone took a crap on my clothes and I didn't know for like a couple months. Yeah.
A month?
Yeah, it was a while.
Oh my gosh.
It was at the bottom of the pile. I didn't know he did it. He was a puppy.
That's so gross.
Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
Chaos, folks. We're wrangling
bring it
it.
into order.
To consistently bring your attention to it.
Yep.
It's a lot of maintenance being a human.
Yeah. Especially if you like want to do things
Yeah.
that are cool in life and
then
like impact the world positively and bring change and do all this stuff.
And we've got some
not just,
body
like,
maintenance
lay
to do
around and
too.
do nothing.
You're gonna have to do some mobility work. We both have some shoulder
Oh my
stuff
gosh,
going
yeah.
on.
You're massaging my shoulder last night here on my left. I've had such a tight neck, and I know some of it's stress and some of it was sleeping bad and whatever. And you massaged it on my left shoulder, like my trap area, and my right hand went numb.
Yep.
And I was like,
When I was just showing you,
stop, don't do that.
I was just showing you in Kelly Starrett's new book, Deskbound. He talks about like if your hands go numb, what's going on with there, and then the mobility. Thankfully, I have almost every mobility tool that's around. I would like to get one of those Tim Tam things, the guns.
Oh yeah, yep.
That'd be sweet, but they're pretty expensive. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so we definitely have some mobility. That's where tonight I'm going to do some mobility work, try to get this out so that my hand doesn't go numb.
It's actually you got to work the pec and then the right here.
That's strange to me that it would be my left pec and my right hand would go numb.
It's still like horsetails there, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So that's my vote for tonight, and then I'll do the grocery shopping tomorrow.
Yep. I still have to go out and return those Redbox movies.
Oh yeah, we should do that.
So.
Yeah. P.S. One last thing before we end our show. I just started using this. If any of my clients are listening or watching, I apologize. You're going to have heard this like 50,000 times. I just started using this new website called realplans.com.
What's that?
It's a recipe meal planning website. And I had heard about it from a bunch of other NTPs. And my mom actually started using it. And she's like, this is awesome. You need to check it out. And I'd seen it. I heard it, and I'm kind of like, I don't need a meal planner website. I do this. It's fine. But I wanted to check it out. I'm always experimenting with myself first before I recommend anything to my clients. Like, I can't tell you I don't think I've ever done anything, recommended something to somebody that I haven't looked at, thoroughly tried out myself. So anyway, I've been using this website, and it's been great. They have fantastic recipes and a lot of, what do you want to call it? A customability to make it customized exactly to what you want it to be. So for me, I've got it set for high fat, low carb, but I have added things like rice and potatoes and some other stuff to kind of have some additional carbs, because that's what I've been doing recently. People were asking me, we should talk about this next time. That'd be a fun show. But I've been doing high fat breakfast, lunch, and then carbs at dinner.
Right, yeah.
It's been fantastic.
Ben Greenfield style.
Yeah, Ben Greenfield, but I was also doing more. I learned about it from Leanne Vogel, and I really, really like it. So anyway, you can do so much with this website. It's been fantastic. And then what I love is that you can set it to have as many meals as you want. We usually do 3 to 4 dinners a week. We eat the leftovers for lunch, or you do your smoothie, and we have regular old breakfasts. We don't need breakfast recipes.
Right.
So I have it set for that, and it's been fantastic. You have a little thing on your phone that it connects to, and it says, here's your shopping list for all of the things. You just check mark the boxes in the grocery store, and then it's awesome. It's super useful. It takes you through. It has your meal plan, it has your timeline, and it has a shopping list. A shopping list is self-explanatory. Timeline says, okay, if you're going to follow this meal plan, then so I have it set Sunday to Sunday, and you can do it Monday, or you can do it whatever day of the week you want to start it on. And it says, okay, Sunday night, pull out the frozen chicken bones so that you can make the broth in the crock pot overnight. And then it says, okay, the Monday morning, put this in the crock pot, turn it on low. And then you get home from work 5:30, put it on high for 30 minutes with your last little ingredients or whatever. It breaks down all the steps for you. Super easy. You do not have to think at all. You don't have to think about it at all. It's amazing.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get any sort of kickback whatsoever. I'm just telling you that it's a great website. So check it out if you want to check it out. It's been really, really, really helpful. I've only used it for like 2 weeks, and I'm in love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and you've been using our budgeting app too, which has been going really well. Which props to you, because that's getting us on track.
And the two I've been doing both of those, and I love them both. Realplans.com and YNAB. You need a budget.
Okay.
YNAB.
So it's YNAB.
Yep, YNAB.
Which has gotten reviewed as like one of the best
It's awesome.
budgeting apps for like home, domestic use, I guess.
Yeah, I've been actually using it for our personal budget, but also my Wise Bear accounts. It's been fantastic. It's been super useful. And it's like, I've been good at budgeting in the past, but I've never used a program. And then you just like button it up here and you button it up there, and it like gets better and better.
That's more order from chaos.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
Yeah. Well, we're getting on on a solid path. So I'm excited and
burning right out, getting out of the atmosphere.
Yeah. Get enough speed.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for now, right?
Yeah, thanks for talking.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff.
Thanks for listening, everybody. This is the end of episode number 6 for the Painter and the Pixie. As always, you can find our show on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Google Play, and on YouTube if you want to watch with us. Our show notes are available on our website, which is thepainterandthepixie.com. That's kind of where you can find all the details of some of the stuff we talked about, like the websites we've referenced and the programs we chatted about. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, you'll be able to get show updates and some other fun things throughout the week. And our Instagram is The Painter and the Pixie.
So that is going to do it for us this week, folks. Thank you very much for listening. I hope y'all all have a great week. And stay out of trouble. Be kind to one another. Anything else, sweetie?
Yeah, compare yourself to yourself yesterday, not anybody else today.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a pretty good one, too.
Good stuff. Wrap it up on that one.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Amazing.